Good evening, horror lovers of the interwebs. I'm Alexa, resident ooky spooky girly, and I think I can officially also call myself the local Lovecraft expert at this point, which is pretty neat. Granted, pronunciations still kind of elude me, so feel free to let me know in the comments if you have recommendations for those. I'm a gal who likes vowels, okay? Question for y'all. Who's your favorite Eldritch horror creature? I'm partial to one of them on today's list. You'll have to guess who, but let me know yours in the comments, and welcome to the top 5 most terrifying Eldritch horrors in literature. Number 5, Cthulhu. Probably the most mainstream of H.P. Lovecraft's creations, he's described this one visually as a monster with a vaguely anthropoid outline, but with an octopus-like head whose face is a mass of feelers with a scaly, rubbery-looking body, prodigious claws on, hind and forefeet, and long, narrow wings. In more simple terms, Cthulhu resembles a green octopus/dragon/human caricature who is hundreds of meters tall, with webbed, human-looking arms and legs and those wings I mentioned. Its head is depicted as similar to the entirety of a gigantic octopus, with an unknown number of tentacles surrounding its supposed mouth. For scale, big dinosaurs only grow to about 9 to 12 meters tall, so I don't like the idea of a molted octopus-looking thing that's going to be bigger than the biggest natural predator to humans that ever existed. As someone who has a tiny fear of ocean monsters, this is kind of skirting that fear right now. So if I start shaking, y'all know why. I promise I'm not just cold. He is one of the great old ones, an old race of deities that are comparable to cosmic beings and archdemons in other works of fantasy. The short story that first mentions Cthulhu, The Call of Cthulhu, was published in Weird Tales in 1928 and established the character as a malevolent entity, hibernating within Nyarlathotep, an underwater city in the South Pacific. Now, the imprisoned Cthulhu is a source of constant subconscious anxiety for all mankind, and is also the object of worship, both by many human cults, including some within New Zealand, Greenland, Louisiana, and the Chinese mountains, and by other Lovecraftian monsters known as the Deep Ones. His worshippers chant, "In his house at R'lyeh, dead Cthulhu waits dreaming, praying that the currently trapped and missing Cthulhu will eventually return." H.P. Lovecraft created a detailed genealogy for Cthulhu and made the character a central reference in his works. The short story The Dunwich Horror refers to Cthulhu, while The Whispers in Darkness hints that one of his characters knows the creature's origins, while the 1931 novella At the Mountains of Madness refers to the star spawn of Cthulhu, who warred with another race called the Elder Things before the dawn of man. While not as powerful as many other great old ones and being dwarfed in scale by the outer gods that he serves, Cthulhu is still a very powerful entity. Being near godlike to humans, Cthulhu is immortal and has great strength and can endure great amounts of damage and can only be killed by a near omnipotent power. Oh, and using his wings, he is capable of true flight. He possesses vast intelligence and awareness, as he knows all that is occurring in the universe at once, and his great psychic abilities as he can communicate telepathically. Now, Cthulhu's most notable trait is the fact that he, alongside the rest of his kin, cannot be comprehended by humans. When a human so much as looks at Cthulhu, they will almost certainly be driven mad by his visage. Oh, and Cthulhu was also able to create a city out of nowhere. No biggie. Number 4, Nyarlathotep. It's a fun one to pronounce. Also known as the Crawling Chaos, he is a fictional outer god in the Cthulhu mythos. Created by, good old H.P. Lovecraft, he made his first appearance in the prose poem of the same name in 1920, and is the spawn of Azathoth. Cripes, I'm getting all the big fun words today. Lovecraft describes him in his original appearance as a tall, lean man of dead black coloration, wholly devoid of either hair or beard, and wearing as his only garment a shapeless robe of some heavy black fabric. This rope? His feet were indistinguishable because of the table and bench, but he must have been shod, since there was a clicking whenever he changed position. The man did not speak, and bore no trace of expression on his small, regular features. Nyarlathotep differs from the other deities in the Cthulhu mythos in a number of ways. So, most of the outer gods are exiled to the stars, like Yog-Sothoth and Azathoth, and most of the great old ones are sleeping and dreaming, like Cthulhu. Nyarlathotep, however, is active and frequently walks the earth in the guise of a human being, usually a tall, slim, joyous man. Now, he has 1,000 other forms and manifestations, many reputed to be quite horrific and nightmare-inducing. In terms of comparison to the other creatures, most of the outer gods have their own cults serving them, but Nyarlathotep seems to serve as he serves several cults and takes care of their affairs in the other outer gods' absences. We love it. Benevolent. Most outer gods use strange alien languages, while Nyarlathotep uses human languages and can easily pass for a human being if he chooses to do so. I like them. Finally, most of them are all-powerful, yet evidently without clear purpose or agenda. Yet this one seems to be deliberately deceptive and manipulative, and even uses propaganda to achieve his goals. In this regard, he's probably the most human-like among the outer gods, and I adore him for it. He enacts the will of the outer gods and is their messenger heart and soul, the immemorial figure of the deputy or messenger of hidden and terrible powers. He is also the servant of Azathoth, whose fitful, spastic wishes he immediately fulfills. Unlike the other outer gods, spreading madness is more important and enjoyable than death and destruction to this creature. It is suggested by some that he will destroy the human race and possibly the earth as well. Once again, no biggie. Number 3, Azathoth. According to Lovecraftian mythology, he is the omnipotent, blind idiot god or nuclear chaos, which makes me laugh. In the Eldritch pantheon of Lovecraftian horror, there exists this deity that is so mind-bendingly terrifying that even the other cosmic horrors cower before its chaotic presence, and that just so happens to be this guy. I'm gonna call him Az for short. Az is a prime example of the sheer existential dread that Lovecraft wove into his mythos. At first glance, it appears paradoxical. It's the most powerful entity in the Lovecraftian universe, but it's utterly mindless. So imagine this, a cosmic being of inconceivable scale, like way too big, occupying the center of the universe, but mindlessly gyrating and flailing like some demented celestial mosh pit. This dance is the chaotic source of creation, a horrific symphony that shapes and reshapes reality without purpose or intention. Az's terror lies in its indifference. It's not malicious, nor benevolent, kinda like the other folks we've talked about. It's simply beyond any comprehension of morality or reason. Lovecraft's writings tell of a court surrounding Az, where lesser deities perform an eternal, maddening dance to keep the blind idiot god entertained and asleep. Oh, I could use some sleep. For in the terrifying moments when Az awakens, the very fabric of reality trembles. An awakened Az would spell the end of everything, as the universe would just dissolve into chaos. It's as if our understanding of the cosmos is a fragile facade, and behind it lies an abyss of badness. The terror of Az isn't in malevolence, it's just in the absolute indifference. Number 2, Night-Gaunts. Slithering through the blackened halls of night, Night-Gaunts give us the archetypal images of devils and demons. This fictional race of creatures appears in Lovecraft's poem titled Night-Gaunts, as well as in his novella The Dream Quest of Unknown Kadath. Kadath? Let me know in the comments. Night-Gaunts serve many gods, and sometimes capture people climbing the mountains in the Dreamlands. The concept of Night-Gaunts first came to Lovecraft when he was young, in a series of recurring nightmares in which they would whirl me through space at a sickening rate of speed, the while fretting and impelling me with their detestable tridents. Yeah, of course I have a direct quote with how they're perceived visually. Shocking black beings with smooth, oily, whale-like surfaces, unpleasant horns that curved inwards toward each other, bat wings whose beating made no sound, ugly prehensile paws, and barbed tails that lashed needlessly and disquietingly. And worst of all, they never spoke or laughed, and never smiled because they had no faces at all to smile with, but only a suggestive blankness where a face ought to be. All they ever did was clutch and fly and tickle. That was the way of Night-Gaunts. I love poetry. The Night-Gaunts are known to haunt various locations across the cosmos. Some gaunts serve the elder god Nodens, the great lord of the abyss. Others suckle at the black breasts of the outer god Yibstil and do her dark bidding, while others still guard the vast extinct volcano Nagranek deep in the Dreamlands, where they are sometimes mounted and ridden by the ghouls that inhabit that cursed place. Lovecraft credited the illustrations of Gustav Dorcas as inspiration for their appearance. Fun fact, a pair of Night-Gaunts are actually employed as supernatural muscle by the Silver Twilight Lodge in Peter J. Evans' novel Feeders from Within. Number 1, Ghatanothoa. This creature first appeared in the 1935 story Out of the Eons, which was ghost written by H.P. Lovecraft for Hazel Held. So Lovecraft presents the monster as a gigantic abomination whose appearance is so hideous that anyone who gazes upon it, or its image, is petrified into a living mummy. Medusa? The creature is described as a hellish god or patron demon, brought to Earth in prehistoric times by aliens from Yugoth. They built a colossal fortress atop the mountain Yadithgo in Kana in the lost continent of Mu and sealed Ghatanothoa below it beneath a vast trapdoor. And for clarity's sake, I'm going to refer to this being as G from here on out so I don't mess up. When humans arose after the departure of aliens, they too worshipped the monster out of fear of its frightful power, offering it sacrifices, lest it emerge from its crypt and, wreak havoc. Though G is said to be indescribable, it appears to combine aspects of an octopus and an elephant, and to be both scaly and wrinkled while remaining amorphous. Victims of G are permanently immobilized, their skin taking on the consistency of leather. Their internal organs are preserved indefinitely, with the brain remaining fully aware, which is my own personal hell. Only the destruction of the subject's brain or the application of a magic scroll can free it from its hellish prison, though the unfortunate is likely to be incurably insane long before the welcomed release. G's cult was immensely powerful in Kana, though opposed by the priests of Shub-Niggurath. After Mu sunk beneath the Pacific Ocean, traces of its worship could be found in Egypt, Chaldea, Persia, China, the forgotten empires of Africa, and Mexico and Peru in the New World, and in modern times can still be found in the Far East and the Pacific Islands. Lovecraft attributes much of his invented history of Ghatanothoa and its followers to the book Nameless Cult, originally created by Robert E. Howard. Other writers have contributed to the lore, such as Lynn Carter in The Thing in the Pit, who depicts the creature as a great old one and the firstborn of Cthulhu, spawned by Idya on the planet Azathoth. Colin Wilson links it to the Loigor in The Return of Loigor. And if I got it wrong, let me know. And that brings us to the end of our time, and if you guessed Nyarlathotep or Night-Gaunts for my favorite, congratulations! You win a virtual gold star. Bink! I hope you enjoyed my ramblings today, and if you did, could you help us out by giving this video a like, subscribing if you weren't already, hit the bell for more Eldritch horror content from us here at Top 5 Scary Videos, and I'll see y'all next time, you lovely spooky people.